Hey y'all, welcome back to Clay to Canopy. Today is February 4th. It is a Friday. I am still teaching, but right now my classes are a bit asynchronous. I just need to check in with them via email, and if anyone has any questions, I can pop onto Zoom. So today I am sort of on call for my Friday classes. I want to really take advantage of the fact that I have a nice 3-day work weekend. I am skipping Disneyland this week, but I will have a good, actually 4-day. I have Monday off too. This is going to be me busting out working on the Woodland Feast. And since this is also my 2-year anniversary, I'm gonna have a vlog weekend. I always start my day off with some coffee, and I have a lemon blueberry muffin that I am still perfecting. This is a protein muffin. I have been on a protein kick, making a bunch of different protein muffins. Oh my God, all of the excess noise. It's the moment this camera goes on. Like, there's a plane, there's a garbage truck, there's like 5 cars going by, waiting for the ambulance. Where's the ambulance? My fitness group have also been asking me for recipes, as I do tend to test these things out on them. I was trying to make use of my lemon tree. It's only 149 calories with about 11 grams of protein, which is pretty decent for a muffin. But anyhow, if y'all want me to start posting the recipes of the protein muffins, please let me know. Comment below. I did a chocolate, a pumpkin, and now I'm experimenting with the lemon blueberry. I tend to eat little bits here and there as I'm working, so I'll start with this, and then I will probably move on to a protein shake. And this afternoon I have not figured out what I'm going to do, but I usually space out roughly about 150 calories every couple of hours is how I do it. As far as what's gonna happen this weekend, I have a bunch of weird, tedious things that take a ridiculous amount of time to do. It's the point in the process where I'm working on day's end, but it always feels like not much is happening. I try to break up those types of tasks with things that can feel a little bit more instant gratification. That's the great thing about doing these kind of environments where I'm working through things where some things I can kind of throw together pretty quickly and other things are taking months to do. It's been 2 weeks since the last vlog, and I am just now gluing up parts for the peanut. The egg is in this condition, not nearly as far along as I would like it to be. By the end of the weekend, I'd like to have the full peanut put together. I also need to cut up the trees. I want to speed up a little bit of the drying time by cutting them down and setting them aside. I need to rig up a model for the mushroom, cat, sling, toadstool things, I'm going to call them. They're going to be stools that are a hybrid stool for a person, but also a cat sling. There are different types of models that I make depending on my purposes. The cardboard model for the peanut was to have a template. This toadstool thing is going to be a structural model, how to get this to support weight. Mushroom model, oh, the apples are out, the first round of apples out, so I want to work on some glaze work. I do want to finish this egg, so that is the overview for what I plan to do. Let's see how much of this actually gets done. In the last vlog, several things had to fall by the wayside. That's usually what happens. I plan and plan and plan, and then life happens and I have 10 cats show up that I need to feed. No, that's 4. 5 counting Sly, plus the neighbor. Maybe like 6 or 7. Things happen and I have to stop what I'm doing and go take care of those things. Anyhow, I am just gonna work away. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this vlog. Let's go do this. Generally speaking, I like to start with the glue up because it's usually, you know, a fairly quick task to glue things up into place and then set them aside, and I can move on to doing other things. I'm trying to get better at social media. To do reels, I need the video on my phone, and here in the studio, I record with camcorders, so it's a pain to try and transfer that, and then that means I have to have a third camera going on. So I have the main camera that I'm looking at there. There's one off to this side where sometimes you can see me kind of looking this way because it's just habit. I'm always looking at the camera that I think I'm talking to. So there are points, and my sister's totally made fun of me for this, that sometimes I'm like not looking directly at the front camera. I'm looking off to the side, and she's like, "Who are you looking at?" And I'm like, "There's another camera there." But anyhow, I am trying to get better, and I have been taking time lapse of different parts of the stages of this peanut so that I can do a reels. I don't know, more things for me to have to worry about. So I'm gonna set this up. Sometimes I just use a bucket. Set it up over there. Oh, Victoria is back from the vet, so I'm gonna go see what's going on with that, and I will be right back. Here she is, all back. She had her checkup and shots. Oh, where are you going? Where are you going? Gonna go that way? Yeah. All right, finally getting to this glue up. We're gonna stop the time-lapse video. Ugh, too many cameras to worry about. Come on. You're getting the real behind the scenes as I'm filming deal with. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah. No, I shouldn't have done that. This way. What is going on today? I'm like out of sorts. Sticks. So I've propped these up because then I can get the clamp under. Trying to also sort out what meals I was going to be making this weekend. I have been playing with hand making pasta and drying it out for the feast when I get to the food. It was just not practical during the witch's feast to try and get all of that food done in one day. I was going crazy and the food, it just is not possible. So I need to do some food items that I know I can prep ahead of time, and pre-making the pasta and letting it dry out was a good way of doing that. Experimented in the kitchen weeks ago, dried out the pasta that I had made, and I at some point this weekend need to test it and see if the pasta is not gonna fall apart in the pan, if it's gonna be all right. I think I'm gonna do a pasta primavera at some point and use up the garden veggies along with that. We shall see. Back when I was in my 2-year junior college, I was one of those overachievers because I was going back to school a little bit later, and I did an additional honors project where I had to write some research papers. I wrote a paper about Wendell Castle, and Wendell Castle was this amazing studio furniture maker, and he became something of this hero to me at the time. This technique of stacking and gluing was adopted by him. He was looking at something in a magazine and then came up with the idea of pre-cutting the templates and then stacking them together before you do the carving. When I applied to undergrad, I had no idea about this, but lo and behold, at Rochester Institute of Technology, where I did my undergrad, Wendell Castle was the artist in residence, and so I got to meet my hero. This is one of those methods that just completely stuck for me, and I always go back to it. It's one of my favorite ways of making because it's something that really takes the furniture woodworking part into that level of making sculpture. I did meet Wendell Castle. I do not do like the Hollywood get crazy over celebrities type of deal, but when it comes to artists that I admire, yeah, I got to meet him. I got to meet Mira Nakashima, George Nakashima's daughter, which was absolutely amazing. Probably one of the coolest things that happened. And I also got to meet Alion, the ceramicist that also inspired me at that same time frame. I was working with trying to make my clay look like wood. Alion was one of my major influences, and when I came to California, I was fortunate enough to meet Alion. It was really cool. Got to see an exhibition of his work at Amoka. Those are my celebrities. I think I got enough clamps. Yeah, we'll call it. All right. All of my glue ups are done, and I am moving on to trying to deal with some of the Christmas trees. I think I'm gonna just try chopping this on the chop saw and hope I can get it flat. Trying to avoid having to build a rig. If I have to build some kind of rig, I'd have to put it on either the bandsaw or the table saw, and I gotta tell you, it scares the crap out of me to think about cutting these odd logs on a table saw. So I'm gonna try and make a go at this on the chop saw and see what happens. Well, that smoked like a crazy, but it is flat. I need to make a decision. These went okay because they were larger. Trying to cut these smaller bits, even on the bandsaw, was not feeling comfortable for me. And I know that I'm all about getting a workout these days, but the last thing I want to do is be hand sawing all of these bits. I think I'm gonna have no choice but to make some kind of jig. It's probably gonna be a V something that holds this in place, but it is 11. I finished glue up around 10:15, 10:20. And it's just been an hour dealing with these, surprisingly. I don't know how an hour just went by, but it did. So, onto my protein shake while I figure out a rig. My hands are not at all covered in massive amounts of sap. Alright, I elected safety first. Safety over aesthetics as it should always be. And this is going to get cut on the bandsaw. I do need to change the bandsaw blade. I have a very technical process of unwinding it, throwing it in the air, and standing the hell back as it springs open. So you like toss it and it will kind of unwind itself. Of course you want to make sure you're tossing it on something that's bouncy. This floor is got some foam underneath it. My floor is pretty soft, so I did it myself. Anyhow, I'm going to change the blade on my bandsaw to this thicker one so that it will be much safer. Before I get cracking, I need to remove all the extra bits that didn't quite come off when I was trimming these things down. So I'm going to do that first. It is, what time is it? It is noon. Before I get jumping into another task, I want to go and get lunch squared away. So I'm gonna go harvest some broccoli leaves from the garden, and I'm gonna be sauteing just some broccoli leaves with fried egg whites. And then I probably will have a protein bar somewhere in the mix. Oh, this one blue. Cooked up lunch, and I just sauteed these in a little bit of olive oil with some salt. Get it hot enough, and then I throw a lid over it so it kind of steams them and wilts them a bit. I have gone back to eating what I like to call the Hunger Games diet. If I am not willing to hunt and gather it myself, I will not eat it. I would catch my own fish, go clamming, harvest eggs, but I'm not about to slaughter a cow or a chicken, so I don't eat those things. I've been working with a trainer since November. Started out doing a strict vegan diet. I was having a really hard time getting enough protein without increasing a massive amount of carbohydrates and a massive amount of fat. The excessive carbohydrates were making the inflammation really bad for my hands, and my hands were not functioning properly. And I'm a maker. Everything I do, from the way I earn my living, it comes from my having proper use of my hands. Adding extra fat by using nuts was not helping me lose any weight, reduce the weight, reduce the inflammation, reduce the carbs. It all one big cycle. That's where it is right now. I've lived most of my life floating between mainly vegetarian and pescatarian when I was in high school, even younger. So I'm gonna eat up this lunch. It's a little after 12:30, and then I'm gonna get to cutting up some Christmas trees. It is 2 o'clock. I am feeling a little bit foggy at the moment. That took a lot out of me to deal with these logs, a lot more than I thought, just to clean up the knotty parts. I am fading, so I probably need a protein bar. These have been my jam lately, these Quest protein bars. Hopefully have enough oomph. There's the ambulances I was talking about earlier. Have enough oomph to go about cutting these into their wedges. Sirens, sirens, sirens. Cutting up the knots have opened up a whole bunch of sappiness. There's just sap leaking out of all of these. I do not ever normally wear work gloves or gloves while using machines, but my hands are nowhere close to the blade, and I drew on a pair of latex gloves. They're very well fitted just to deal with the amount of sap that's leaking off of these things. I am a ridiculous mess. It is after 3:30. I'm a bit drained. Dealing with a lot of wood cuts and this repetitive motion, it really does take a lot out of me, more than some of the other tasks that I do. This was what I was envisioning using as the center piece of the mushroom. I put this on the floor and was sitting on it and putting a bunch of weight on it, and it seemed more than fine to hold up what I need. So I think that I can probably just jump right into making the mushroom. So as far as model, I'm taking that off the table because I think this will get me there. As far as the rest of this day goes, I do still need to make dinner. I will be making vegan tacos. I think I'm gonna call it after I clean up for today and get a fresh start tomorrow. Alright y'all, I am gonna make this meal, and it's a really quick meal. Normally I make 3 packages of this chicken. This is the Abbott's chicken. I really love this stuff, but I have been having a really hard time getting a hold of it. It is pea protein, onion, garlic, sage. There's a beef version and a chorizo version. The beef version includes mushroom. This is 80 calories for a half a gram of fat, got only 5 carbs, and 14 grams of protein. So this is like my absolute go-to. I have been trying to get a hold of this at Whole Foods. This will only be one night's dinner for 2, because this package is pretty small. When I do make the 3 packages, I usually get a couple nights out of it, and there's 2 of us here eating. I'm gonna prep my veg first. That's usually the first thing I do. I need an onion for my pan, and I also need onion to top my street tacos. I will do that at the same time. I usually only use about 1/4 of an onion. Somehow, even if you use the tiniest amount of onion, you end up with all freaking onion in the mix and no cilantro. I'm gonna slice this fairly thin, and that is all I'm gonna use for my toppings. The rest of this will go in to cook with the chicken. So we're gonna set this aside on my board here and heat my pan and wash my fingers, because now my eyes are starting to tear. When your fingertips come in contact with the oils of the onion, it makes you tear. If you wash your hands, you'll stop the tears. This is why artists are so very tactile, and it's all about our hands and what we touch, because we have receptors at our fingertips, if you didn't know. This was previously washed. I do not like stems. I know some people, cutting it as is, but I don't like having all that stem. So I got my pan going. I am going to just spray it with some cooking spray. I will be using quite a bit of cooking spray throughout this process to get this to brown. You could use oil. I still add in a teaspoon of olive oil to my recipe because I am using MyFitnessPal to track my stuff. I find with the sprayer, I can get more even coats than just pouring in the olive oil. I'm using so much freaking spray that I just count a teaspoon of olive oil just because, and I'm not watching my pan. This is too hot. That onion is darker than I would normally do, but it is what it is. I'm gonna throw my chicken in. I really like having the grill mark thing going on with my chicken, so this is where I spray the crap out of it, let it sizzle, mix it up, spray it some more, and basically keep doing that until I get it good and brown. In goes some lime juice. And look, I put that tiny bit of onion, but there's like a ton of onion now compared to cilantro. Now how that works. I have some of this taco and fajita seasoning. I got this at Walmart next to all the grill seasoning. Used it for fajitas, but you could buy taco seasoning, fajita seasoning, whatever. And I'm getting close to the color that I want to see. And I'm just going to add in some lime juice. And this is pretty much it. So now this just gets plated. I will heat my tortillas. On a clean pan, I'll just heat them for 10 seconds on each side. 25 calorie Mission yellow corn tortillas. And you get 4 tortillas for 90 calories, 1 gram of fats, 2 grams of protein. It does have carbs, but these are like the lowest I could find. It's gonna get topped with that onion and cilantro mix. And that'll be that. So I will throw up a picture of what this looks like completed, and that's gonna be it for today's vlog. So I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning to get back into the studio. It is 9:15ish. It is Saturday morning. I usually spend a little bit time in the morning trying to map out what my macros are gonna be, jiggering with the numbers and trying to figure out what I'm gonna eat for at least the main parts of the meals of the day. And I have been also trying to do about an hour or 2 of editing. I used to do these really long stretches of editing on specific days. It's hard for me to focus for more than a couple hours in front of the computer. Soon I will be going back to my early mornings on campus, and I will not have these free time mornings that I have been having. So this morning I attempted to start editing vision board water feature and realized that I totally forgot to shoot an intro. Today I will be shooting a brief intro for that. I'm going to continue on gluing up pieces for the peanuts. I would like to get to some of the glazing, and then I will go back to the egg. Today is a bit of a slowish kind of day in the studio. Muffin of the day is a pumpkin. I finally have perfected the pumpkin. All right, here we go. Now I gotta move it without having clamps go knocking off. Oh, it's getting heavy. Ooh. Oh. Whew. My workout's done for the day. getting set up for glazing. Moving on to the glazing portion of my day. I will also have to run new footage for the glaze video. I did the casting video in 2 parts because my high school kids really needed the footage because they were starting to make their own molds. And also, it was just really long and involved for the first part of just making the plaster molds that I knew I'd do the glazing separately. It is 10:40. I am really hungry now. So after I set these up, I'm going to reheat my muffin. It was previously frozen. I have been freezing batches of muffins just to make it easier. And then begin filming the glaze video. Got all of these pieces here. I'm going to do it in one shot. If this doesn't go well, I'll be recasting them. Before I get into this, I have some people telling me that I did not properly introduce my brand new glue gun in my previous video when I first brought it out. So if y'all been following me, you know I've been doing nothing but complaining about these crappy Craft Smart glue guns, the minis from Michaels. This one is the second one I tried. The pink one was the one that I used most because I had it for the longest. It's just as crappy. And pretty much when it's in my hand and I'm using it in a video, all I do is complain about how crappy that glue gun is. I did go and purchase myself a wonderful new cordless glue gun. I've been wanting a cordless one, not necessarily this brand. I did notice that Ryobi makes one, but it was like a little bit way out of my price range. So I thought I'd start off soft. This is about 30 bucks. I used a coupon. I'm in love with it. Yes, I do love this thing. I've used it to create my water feature in my vision board video, and it never got a proper introduction there. So this is the proper introduction to my glorious new glue gun. Lo, behold my brand new glue gun. And it's full size. So here we are in the behind the scenes moment of filming. So this is like that point where I feel like I do a lot more time in the setup, and then like I do 5 minutes of filming, and then it's like a bunch of downtime prepping for the next move. And this is like one of those things. So I'm not going to sit here and film me sanding all of this fruit for the glazing video, but this is part of the process. So here on the vlog you can see how I waste the rest of my hours in between my studio days. If only the cats had hands that could do this work for me, then, you know, save some time, put them to work. Instead, just sit there. What you doing? This is gonna take a while, so I got myself set up. This is the point where I throw on some headphones and listen to an audiobook. Harry Potter is usually what I'm listening to. Got myself a drink, and I'm ready to do some sanding. It's about 11:20, so yeah. I did not put my clay stamp on these. I wanted to retain this shape. So what I'm going to be doing is using that mark, which is always a maple leaf with a swirl around the center, as part of the design. So on weekends, it can get pretty loud around here. The houses are really close together. It's the time that most of my neighbors get projects done. Usually I'm only shooting B-roll on the weekend when I'm doing things, but since we're vlogging, it is what it is. Those pieces, I have sanded them down. I've started with the 120 grit sandpaper, followed it up with the 220. I wiped it down with a damp cloth. When I went to go stick the tape on, the blue tape, it ended up being too wet. So I threw them all out in the sunshine. While that is happening, I'm just prepping my tape. But anyhow, this is what I'm doing. Oh, I know. I'm like, there was a point of why I started this. So I have never explained this whole leaf swirl symbol. Back in the day when I used to do a lot of hiking on the East Coast, there was this activity called letterboxing that I used to do, and you would get these clues that you'd download from the internet, and hidden in the woods were these containers with personalized stamps that people have either hand carved or purchased, and a journal, and you'd have your own stamp and journal, and you'd follow the clues, and it's just a great way to have a free activity while you're out on a hike. Everyone who goes out has their own personal symbol. For me, autumn was always my season. I'm an October baby. At the time when I started doing these hikes, my life was a little bit chaotic and all over the place. I first started using this swirl stamp, and I used to sign my mark as chaos because, you know, young emo self. But anyway, that later on evolved to become autumn chaos, which was the maple leaf with the swirl. And I don't know, it just kind of is the duality in me. I still have that little streak of fire. So you have that bit of chaos in my working environment lends itself to good art practice. In my opinion, some of the brilliant things I create are when things are like chaotic around me. The autumn is that place I go to in my mind. It's when I'm looking for something calm. That is what the maple leaf with swirl symbol has been. I love the symbol, and I usually incorporate it into a lot of my work. Anyway, it has become a maker's mark. All right. Enough waffle, on to work. And it is 1 o'clock. My apples have a second coat on the leaf and they are out in the sunlight drying, and it is lunchtime. I am having a veggie dog and a bag of Quest chips. These are protein chips and some root beer. So this is lunch for now, and if you can hear that noise, the band is live and kicking across the street. I don't know how that's music. I'm getting old. Boy. Ooh, a blimp. Oh, there's a blimp outside. Gotta get my steps in. I don't even think that song had an ending. Just kind of stopped. Huh. Interesting. Seriously, it was like quiet for all that time until I just started. All right, it is 2 o'clock. It is very clear to me that I am not going to get to dealing with any glass today with that egg. This is going to take a long time just to get these masks off. Now I'm feeling a bit fried. Around about this time I usually start slowing down and start running out of energy. Tonight I will be eating a pizza. Quest pizza. I'm excited about pizza tonight. I'm gonna try and get through all of these apples by the end of the night, but I also don't want to push too much because I don't want to be burnt out to where I can't get things done tomorrow. So I'm gonna leave it here for today. All right,